Hello and welcome to another review. I thought it would be a really good idea to bust out all Isaac Clarke here from ThreeZero figures Dead Space 3 because Dead Space just got announced, the remake, and I am so happy, so happy. You might see, if you guys have this figure or if you've seen it before, you might see something a little different about this guy, and we'll get to that in the review. I suppose this is going to be like one of my first custom accessory review that I've ever done for you guys, and I hope you enjoy it. I think this guy looks awesome. There's a few things I'd like to improve on it, but I'd really like to hear you guys' comments. Please hit me up with a message and I'll respond to you. I will respond to you. I know I will. Let's get on to the review.
Alrighty, here we have the box as always. I love this box. I think they did really well with it. They kind of made it extra special with just making it completely white. Not necessary, but they did, and it looks amazing. It really paid off. So a lot of this is indented as well as kind of protruding out. Like all the black bits here, you see it's all protruding outwards, and then all the engravings of the marker over here are indented, which is really cool. The only thing that I might have wished for is if it was red. Like all the engraving parts are red rather than just completely white. But at the same time, it's okay. It still looks pretty good. Everything is exactly the same as this all around the box, which kind of sucks, but at the same time, it works for it, you know? So on the side, you have more of the indented kind of pattern. On the back, same deal, indented pattern. The only difference is we have his rig health bar here. Dead Space Isaac Clarke snowsuit. And side, same deal. The front is, again, all the same. But you see his visor in the front here, which is really cool. I'm not sure why they said snowsuit. They never made any more, so I feel like putting snowsuit is kind of no point. They should have just said Isaac Clarke. If they continued the line, maybe. Maybe that's what they wanted to do, but who knows. And then in the top here, it just says Dead Space with the various logos. The bottom, same deal. But yeah, I really like the box. A lot of boxes can get kind of muddled up together because they're all relatively the same, quite bright and vivid. But this one kind of stands out because it is just completely white. So yeah, let's move on to the figure, shall we? I am sorry for any mic problems. My mic kind of screwed up. I recorded it 3 times and then only realized that it wasn't working. So I'm using an older mic, so I'm sorry for any changes with the sound. But yeah, so this guy did not come with a base. He straight up needs a base. I'm using the most accessible base that I have in my collection right now, which is the Devil May Cry base. This base does not come with it. And there is a light up feature, which is really cool. His eyes and his rig lights up, which is really cool. We'll get to that in a little bit later. But I have to compliment this character design. He looks really cool. I've always liked the masks and the armor plates and all that kind of stuff. This one was quite different because everything's quite older. I think it's a really good step back, but step forward for the overall costume design. It's very complicated, but looks not complicated, if that makes any sense. But let's get back into it, and I'll start the feed as usual. Alrighty, sorry for the angle. This is the kind of best angle to get the best of it because it's a thicker boot this way rather than front on or back on or whatever. So it's a big ass boot. It's big and chunky. It's got a lot of paint details and a very good amount of paint details, I might add. A few things that we'll get into that is an issue. So first off, it does have articulation. The actual armor moves here for the knee bends, so that doesn't get in the way. And then as well as the armor over here where his ankle joint would be. But not that this is kind of needed, because as you can see, his ankle just springs straight back. It goes up nicely, but down or side to side, it kind of just springs straight back. It's kind of a downfall to this figure that you would see in a lot of this figure, to be honest. A lot of it is hindered by movement, but where you lose movement, you gain in, I guess, detail. Because it is rubber, you have this kind of, it just looks like what it's meant to look like. Wetsuit slash space boot, I guess. Although this is real rubber, which is really cool. Some of the paint on the rubber is kind of flaked off, but it kind of adds to that rustic look. As you can see, there's a whole bunch of different hues in browns and golds and coppers through the armor of this. So you'll see that a lot through the figure. So you have, this is gold, the front here is gold, you've got these gold rings, and then this is like a browny, coppery, silver, or metallic, and then the same with the lower sections here. And then it's got this kind of snow boot kind of thing where it's meant to dig into the ice so you don't slip, which is really nice, very cool. And you have like this kind of like spotted, pitted effect through the entire suit, or the entirety of the metal, which kind of makes it look a little older. Let's get a little close up. So you can see the pitted effect. It's coming across a little bit more brown than it actually is. The pitting, it's more silver in person, which is really cool. That's one of the cool things about getting things in person. You can really make up your own mind on how it looks. And then you have all these little nuts and bolts and little sculpt details which look amazing. Even the rings across here look great. The rings on here and here. And yeah, it looks amazing. You've got some silvers in there too. So it really comes together as a really worn out, snowy, high-tech boot, which is really cool. Let's move a little higher, shall we? One thing that's not really showing up in this is how much weathering there actually is in the material parts. It's quite dark and brown and dry brushed or airbrush, which is really nice. But just look at this. Just look at this bit. How great is that? It's a kind of rubbery plastic tube with these metal clamps, I guess, on the sides here, and then you have a piece of string going over it that's attached to different areas here and here. It's so unique to any kind of spacesuit. It's almost as if the tubing would, I don't know, carry some form of anti-gravity or electronic boot settings. I don't know, because there is like, I don't know about this suit, but they are like boosters in the suit for deep space or space flight or whatever. Just that alone looks amazing. And then you have the strap across here. It goes all the way around with real buckles, real like a material strap kind of thing. And then you've got this own little piece of armor. Who the hell knows what this is for, but it's there and it looks great. And then you also have the belt buckle, which looks really cool, kind of spacey belt buckle. You have a rubber kind of belt going across. They could have done a little bit more weathering on that, but considering that everything else is weathered so well, that doesn't show too much. And then you have little various pouches and stuff like that. Another material bit holding the belt on, and then pouches. It's sculpted. The pouches are sculpted, but it looks nice. And then you've got like the weathering on top of that too, which looks really cool. All little sewn details, little rivets on his pants there. Looks really nice, really well done. But again, suit's quite thick. Articulation suffers for that. Top half looks really cool. Same kind of deal. There's different kinds of materials through there. You can kind of see a better version of the weathering through, I guess, these little insulation pouches or whatever the hell those are. And yes, my Dead Space figure is broken. You can see there. That is meant to be attached to that, like this one here. But it seems like it was held together with just maybe a small piece of, I don't know, it's like a red string or maybe a plastic bit or something. Either way, it's okay. I have his elbow bent the way I pose him that you will see in the end result. There won't be too many poses in this, purely because of how thick his suit is. It doesn't allow a lot of flexibility, which sucks. But yeah, you've got nice armor bits, the same kind of deal, same kind of splattering and copper, golds, and silvers and browns through the armor, which looks really nice. You've got these rings here and all the different kinds of materials. Like this section here is different to this and this. And the way it's painted looks different to this. It's just so well done, you know? I cannot stress how well manufactured this is. It may be low on articulation, but man, does it make up for it in detail. Here we have the back part, and the back really shines. This is what you see as you play with Isaac. And it makes sense why this bit here is more detailed, but at the same time, you kind of wish this kind of detailing was in the front. Not that it isn't, it's just not as prominent as the back here. It really stands out, you know? You obviously got these armor pieces here with these like little capsule bits. And then you've got where the tubing goes and these little I don't even know, like I suppose it would be clasps that hold the tubes inside underneath this pouch bit here. Then you have these like almost spine rib looking bits here. And you have the rig. Let's have a little closer look at the rig. I completely forgot what this half crescent moon kind of thing was called, but this and this lights up, which is really nice. But look at the detail in like this area and like here, and these I guess armor plates. It just looks so pretty, you know. It's done really well. And then you've got the details sculpted on the sides here that are different colors and textures, so it looks so well done. I cannot stress that enough. Also, adding to the material, you've got this like little fluff bit here on his neck collar, which is really nicely done. People have complained about how much snow weathering there is on this, but I think it's fine. They might have benefited a little bit from adding more to the actual material parts. Other than that, I think it's okay. Like it's pretty fucking good. And then you have this kind of thing, this like information box here. I don't know what it's called in the game. I haven't played it in a while, but it just looks so nice. You can see that there is a nice translucent green screen on the front, and there is a little bit of detail in there. I'll have to take his head off and show you guys, but there is detail in that, and it just stands out and just looks so good. It's always been a thing of Dead Space where there's a small thing like this that shines up so you can see a little bit of information. They wanted to have no text, no health bar, nothing like that on the screen. They just wanted to have the immersive surroundings and your own person make things really intimate with the player and the game, which really worked out. And this was one of the ways that they did it, with shooting up holograms from this kind of thing, which is really well done, really cool, very unique. I kind of hope that they stay with that in the new remake. But anyway, let's have a closer look at the portrait, shall we? All right, as you can see, here is the portrait. Very cool, very detailed, very unique. I love it, and yeah, very unique to this game. So he has, you can see the visor, and there is like a green screen there. So when you light it up, it's like a greeny luminescence. It kind of sucks. We'll get to that in a bit. There's the issues with it. And he has this material going over his over his mouth, and then some kind of details. Everything that you see here is throughout the entire figure. The colorations, gold, browns, coppers, and silvers, are all in the actual armor, which looks really cool. Yeah, you can see a little bit of skin there, which is his neck, and then a material kind of collar. I'm not too sure if this suit was meant for space travel or something like that, but it looks really cool. Again, the back of the head looks really nice, purely because that's what you see most of the time through the gameplay. And then you remove this bit, and that's where the batteries go in for the light up feature. Looks really nice. And like all these bits here are all separate, the actual mask. Yeah, it just looks awesome. I'll get a little bit of a closer shot of the screen on the inside here. Just give me a sec. There we have it. There is the screen. And you can see that there is details on there. They didn't have to put that on there at all, but they did. And they made it look, you know, really decent. It's something that doesn't really show up much, and they got it in there, which is really cool. It's kind of strange how much is showing on camera, because that most of the circle in the middle doesn't show very well. And it kind of looks like this to me, where you can see it's there, but the green border and the green lines on the sides of the circle show more than the actual circle does. So that is very cool. I think it has something to do with the light and the play on the light. Very well done. I love it. All right, here we have the light up feature. So this is the kind of sucky thing about this light up feature. It's just one LED light. They expected it to be less translucent than it is, so the light would carry out through the translucent, I guess, visor a little bit better. It didn't work. It kind of looks like he's a cyclops, and wherever you are, the light will shine towards you, if that makes sense. So like this, it's dead on. On the side, it's still dead on, the way you're looking at it, which kind of sucks. So what I decided to do was a little bit of editing. As you saw my base in the intro, I decided to try something different. So I pulled that off, and all I took was a little bit of tracing paper. Put that in there, like so. And voila, it kind of makes the whole thing look a little bit better. This is a pretty bright LED. That I have to give them props for that. All my studio lights are on it right now, as well as the background's lit up and stuff like that. And you can still see it, which is really good. The camera's right up close, so all the lights, and it came out still pretty good. So it's a really nice effect, but if they had maybe 2 LEDs or maybe dulled down how translucent that plastic is, I think they would have benefited for a little bit better. Alrighty, here we have the light up effect for the rig. As you can see, it does illuminate. This one does look a little bit brighter than the tube, purely because the tube, I'm pretty sure there's only one LED at the top, and it kind of reflects through the pattern at the bottom there. Again, it is all my studio lights is glaring on there, so once it's in a normally lit room, it looks a lot better, and I'll show you what I mean. There we go. Normal lit room. The backlights are still on, as well as the room light, and it just shines decent enough. But yeah, it looks really nice. The compartment for it is just on top. You flip his collar up, and then you kind of have this little chunk here that comes out. Come on. There we go. You see it there. And then the button is these little prongs at the top here. Just like that. And I like it when the light up feature is very accessible. So props to that too. Alrighty, here we have all the accessories included with a base and the instructions. There's only the instructions and these accessories here. Like my Isaac is sitting there with no arm, with no hands right now, because this is all you get. Very minimalistic. I'm happy that they added in a second gun. I would have much preferred a base or I don't know, something like that. Except for, I don't know, like they really didn't add much to this. I think a base would have been really handy, considering that he's a little bit of a bulky figure. But anyway, let's get into it, shall we? Alright, so we come with 2 hands, 1 gripping hand for the bottom of the barrel, 1 trigger hand, 2 relaxed hands, 2 fisted hands. You get the pulse rifle and you get the significant plasma cutter. Best weapon in the game, for sure. Alright, so there are a little bit of moving parts on each of these. So you have this little kind of hook here that moves around, and this guy here that moves around too. And then this can swivel to match how you prefer to use your plasma cutter. This guy, just this. Just this. That's the only thing that moves. Which is, okay. You don't really need much more. These two are very well painted. There's scuff marks, there's scratches, and it's weathered quite nicely. You have a little grapple bit here. That's really cool. You got these huge chambers at the bottom. Not really sure what that's for, but I'm assuming it's weapon related. It's been a while since I've played this game, all right? So give me a break. The hands are done really well. It looks really nice. It's a completely new sculpt, which is very, very cool. You can see there's leather kind of looking gloves and then a material base at the top that matches what the figure is, which is really cool. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Let's get into what I've made for this guy, shall we? All right, so viewers' discretion. This is a pretty gory display, so please don't be too grossed out. But yeah, this is what I've made for my figure. I love the 1/6 scale sideshow statue that they made for Dead Space 1, and I could not find it anywhere, so I decided I'll make my own. So I did, and I think it came out really, really cool. It's not a specific necromorph or character from either of the games, but I thought I would try and get the best of what I could, and I did, and I think I really did a decent job. So he is completely posable and movable. He can go anywhere. He was just a cheap body I found on eBay. The head sculpt too is just a generic head sculpt I tried to find, just a bald character. And I fabricated the ribs and the gory, gruesome bits and painted it up. I sewed this to match the body and then cut it up. The Dead Space plaque I completely redid. He is removable too. You can pose him however you want. The actual blood stains and snow I did myself. These are real rocks. This flight or this large base I got from Hot Toys and just redid it from there, you know? And I think I did a decent job. So why don't we get into some details? So here we have just the Dead Space plaque. It's just a piece of metal that I found in my stash of found goods and engraved it and painted it. And voila, stuck it on. It fits perfectly and I think it came out quite nice. I like the fact that it kind of overhangs a little bit. Looks good. Here we have a little bit of the blood and gore. Pretty much just blood, to be honest. There's a lot of this everywhere. So the snow is bicarb soda mixed with white paint and a wood glue or PVA glue or PVC glue, sorry. And then the paint is just a generic enamel-based paint. So after a while, it started going a little funny. It started going a little weird and the glue started separating from the rest of the material. So I pretty much super glued the entire base to have a hard crusty shell kind of thing. And then I repainted the paint with a kind of glossy window paint, which kind of had that translucent look, and that's what I was kind of looking for. And it came out really nice. The rocks was just found rocks, and I kind of glued them in a position that I liked, and then painted it and threw all that bicarb soda over it and glued it. Came out really nice. I'm happy with how it came out. Let's get into the actual figure. Alright, so this is kind of a first for me. I've never had to review just half a body. I didn't know what to do, so I put him on the flight pole. It's a flying necromorph. Anyway, I really didn't know how to review this guy, so I did display him up high so you can kind of see the gist of him and what I did. So he's on the flight pole right now. He's definitely a flying corpse. But yeah, I guess this is the best way to review him and tell you what I did with him and what I used and stuff like that. So if you guys ever have this figure or want this figure, I highly recommend doing something similar to this. It was relatively easy. I went into a lot of detail and you guys probably don't have to do that much, but it looked amazing. It still looks amazing. It came out really well and I hope you guys enjoyed this custom review right now. And I don't mean to blow any smoke up my ass, but I think I did a decent job. So yeah, let's start from the bottom up as we usually do, but in this case it'll be the hands, then the stomach, then the chest, then the head. But yeah, let's do it. Alrighty, here we have the hands and a little bit of the insides dangling out here. Most of this figure is more front on because I knew how I wanted to display him, so a lot of the details are mostly in the front. So we're mostly going to focus on that. But these huge spike things on front here, I'm pretty sure they're meant to be like a huge bone jutting out or extra calcium build up into a weird alien necromorph thingy, is wood. I liked the grain of the wood, so I was like, you know, I'm going to use that so I don't have to do too much to paint-wise. It'll just be like a white creamy bone and then a whole bunch of blood and dripping and stuff like that. With the base, I had to match the paint. So I painted it white, creamy kind of color with all the blood. So I'm only going to tell you guys this once. So it's a cream white color, and then it's kind of like an enamel dry brush, as well as like you can see like a dripping effect for when it first came out and the blood dried on it. And then what I did was I dunked my finger and my brush in the paint and kind of flicked it on to have this kind of like splattered look. And then, yeah, it just took off from there. It looks really good. I do like how it ended up. And yeah, then I had to match it with the paint. So I used the same paint for the base and went over it. And I generally think it's doing a better job as a three-dimensional kind of look where there's different layers of dried blood and wet blood, which came across really, really well. I didn't do too much with the hands, just kind of the blood splat and a little bit on the inside there to make it look like it's very detailed and very, very bloody. Let's move a little bit higher, shall we? So the jacket was just a jumpsuit that I kind of tore up and cut up. You can see like there's really nice detailed buttons. I didn't make it myself, so whoever did do this is a really did a really good job. I kind of wanted to see a jumpsuit that's warm, so I just looked up jumpsuit, winter coat kind of deal, and it came out with this. And you can see it's got like nice little silver buttons and normal buttons, and it does end up, you know, it's got a little clasp that goes in there as well as at the top there. And then at the back here, you have a rig. I actually have the Dead Space 1, 2, and 3 art book and went through it and tried to find something done with the NPCs where I found this rig and traced it out and cut it out of PVC plastic. And yeah, it came out really well. I had to hollow it out and then added this like tube. And again, I kind of, in the best way, cheaped out and kind of just rolled up some tracing paper and drew lines on it to give it that look. And I actually think it came out really well. I think it looks really nice. And then just glued it on his back and voila. You don't see it, but it's there. And then you've got like pits of blood and, you know, just old blood that's dry and then new blood that's kind of wet and yucky. So I think I did well with this paint job, even though it was a half disaster. And then you've got this like fluffy neck piece at the top here to keep your neck warm. So I think the overall look of the horrible nastiness came out quite well. So for the rest of this review, I think I'm going to take the jacket off and you can see what it looks like without it. So as you can see, I went into quite a bit of detail with the body. These tendril bits are actually tendrils from an old Carnage figure I had, and it really looked like inside. So I was like, hell yeah, let's use it. I tried to get the most flexible body I could, so there's a whole bunch of different joint movements. So it does look a little strange like that. But yeah, I hollowed out his stomach and then put the insides in there. And these bits here are extra leg pieces that I kind of carved out and then curled around so it looked like his ribs were jutting out, which is similar to most of the necromorphs in the first game. I tried to add a little bit of thickness to the blood so it would look like it's kind of textured and raised with dry blood and insides and flesh mixed all together. As you can see here, here, and here, it came out quite nicely, and then added some clear gloss paint to really bring out that nastiness. I used a dry brush of white to give him a little bit more paler skin. I didn't go too much into the arms and the body, purely because it was mostly going to be covered up with blood, but I did go all out in the face, and I'll get to that in a bit. And the back, I didn't do much at all. You can see where the ribs cut off. I knew how I was going to display him, so I didn't go all out on the back at least. So yeah, you can see those color variants where it's the dry brush is quite harsh on there, and then so is the different colored paints of red. So yeah, let's move up to one of the goriest parts, which is the neck and throat. Alrighty, so here we have it. I did quite a bit of work in this guy's face. A lot of it is paint, and a lot of it is also straight up dremeling his lower jaw and adding things to it. I'm pretty sure this is meant to be a portrait of J.J. Simmons. Here is the original portrait. And you can kind of see how I went with that. And the paleness and the eyes are quite different. So I completely took away his entire lower jaw and neck part and then added in the throat there. You can see the throat inside there. Added in these extra little bone bits here, added in the teeth, and then gave him a complete paint job. Took away some of his ear and yeah, just made him super gory, made him bleeding from his eyes, his nose, and then gouged out a lot of his cheek, and it just looks so gory. I'm actually quite pleased with how it turned out. By all means, please guys, let me know what you think of this. I also glazed over his eyes so he looks more dead, which is kind of morbid, but I think it really came out quite nice. I used the finger dipping thing where I dip my finger in the blood or in the blood paint and just splattered on his face, and it came out really well. I made his ears hemorrhaging blood as well. I think I did alright, and I hope you guys enjoy this as well, in a morbid way, I suppose. Tell me what you guys think of this. If you guys like it, then I'll continue doing custom stuff. If you don't, then I won't. Simple as that. Thanks, guys.
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the review. I'm super pumped for Dead Space remake. I really don't think it needed it, but it's something that I really want the Dead Space franchise to continue. I still enjoyed the third one regardless. That's why I got this guy. I really wish I did get the sideshow statue, but it's okay, so I kind of just made my own. I hope you guys enjoyed the base and the necromorph. It's my first custom for you guys to see, my own personal project, my own art, so I hope you guys enjoyed it. So yeah, hit me up with the comments and stay safe and have a good one, guys.